So leading behavior common to all 4 leadership styles. So in all 4 styles of leadership, you will have to set the goals and define the expected outcomes, to observe and monitor the performance, and to provide feedback. The 4 styles differ from each other by the degree of directiveness expressed by the leader, for the degree of support provided, and for the level of involvement of the employee in the decision making. Right? So be very aware of these elements that are common to most of the different styles. But again, this flexibility pushes you towards the adaptation of your style of leadership according to their status. So we are talking about this development cycle here, where of course we could expect from a person to start from here, to develop from here, to continue across this other quadrant, and to become finally an expert. So that can be the same person, starting here in time 0, T0, and arriving here in time in T5, for instance. Okay, you will have to accompany the person differently according to the stage which he or she are crossing and facing. So this is the development cycle. Or you might have to start with S2, S3, and S4. So depending on the person you have in front of you. Can be the beginning of the career, could be a middle career, an advanced career, a much more advanced career. Okay, so you will have to bear this in mind. So when we are talking about the cycle of development, we have identified that there are 6 stages of development. These 6 steps are: tell the person what to do, show the person what to do, including the standard of performance to be achieved. Let them try, encourage them. Don't be much worried about they succeed or fail. That's part of the learning. Observe progress closely, monitor the development. Praise the progress and made or give new direction. And modify the leadership style over the time as the person progresses in competence and commitment. So these are the main 6 steps that you will have to respect when you are applying, when you are developing this cycle, this development cycle. Alright, so let's take the first box, personal development D1, and your behavior as a situational leader in S1, with this directive behavior. So how does the leader perform in the S1 with this directive style? It defines the outcomes, the goals, and timelines for completion. It defines the standards of work and how performance will be tracked and monitored. It develops a plan that allows the employee to learn new skills, plans the work, decides who does what and when, and provides specific directives and instructions. Decides. You, leader, here, you decide. The leader in that situation uses frequent feedback and verification and recognizes his or her transferable skills and progress. Now this is, according to the manual, how do you have to lead people in this stage of personal development. Step 2, coaching style. So we are one step forward. Involves co-workers in problem identification and goal setting. So you as a leader, step back a bit. Involve people. Invite people to identify problems. Involve people to set the goals. You don't do it alone. You integrate people. Because they already have certain competence, certain knowledge, but the commitment, it's going down. So they have to be coached, they have to be helped. You have to offer support, reassurance, and appreciation. The motivation is going down. Listens and provides opportunity to discuss difficulties and share ideas. If a collaborator asks you in this phase, can I ask you please something? No, I don't have time. I'm very busy. My agenda is crazy. Don't do that. Time, your time, it's fundamental for helping people to feel listened, understood. Don't use this type of formulations. Oh, I am in a rush. I have to run. I don't have time. Oh, as the secretary, she is going to give an appointment with... Don't do that. You might say, look, I'm absolutely busy now. Tomorrow at 8 a.m. we can have a coffee together and you explain me what is happening. All right? Involves employees in problem solving and decision making. They have already some knowledge and competence to do things. So they might be demotivated and a little bit this situation of fear. I don't feel like really proposing. No. Make them participate. Put them in the center of the action. Involves the employees in the problem solving and decision making. The problem is not yours alone. It's an organizational problem. The decision that has to be made is not only depending upon you. It's a team decision that has to be made, which is going to have an impact on the organization. Listens to employee and then make decisions. Offers direction and support for ongoing skills development. Motivates reasons for choices. Helps the employee define work, time, and deadlines. Provide guidance and support for ongoing development of skills and motivation for decisions. Provide frequent review and feedback. Let's go to the step number 3 of leadership, which is this support style. Remind that the motivation is lower, but the higher competence, higher knowledge they may have. So in this situation, you will really have to support them. In that sense, the leader here shares responsibility for identifying problems and goals with the employee. So you have to support them also to help you to identify the problems and to set the goals. Requires the person to plan activities to solve problems independently. They have more knowledge, they have more competence, they have less motivation. So you have to show them that you trust them. Okay, go, do it. Serve as a mirror. Encourages the employee to express concerns and ideas. Listens to and encourages autonomy in decision making and problem solving. Offers reassurance, support, encouragement, and appreciation. And provides avenues to help make the goal or task more interesting and challenging if motivation wanes. On request from the employee, you can offer input into the problem-solving process by pooling ideas. Assesses the employee's work with them. Okay? situational leadership. According to each situation, each profile of each stage of the personal development, according to each task, be flexible and adapt the way you are directing, or the way you are coaching, or the way you are supporting, or the way you are delegating people. And remind, the boxes are not closed. The flexibility has to be shown, not only because you understand each profile according to each box, but you navigate flexibly across all the boxes. How does the leader behave in S4, this delegation style? Well, you are talking with an expert, empowers the employee to take ownership of the problems, defines the problems together with him or her, expects the employee to take responsibility for goal setting, action planning, and decision making, encourages them to evaluate their own work, gives him or her the opportunity to share and value successes and to serve as a point of reference for others, recognizes values and rewards contribution, encourages them to achieve higher levels of performance. But you are not alone as a leader. You can delegate, you can coach, you can support, you can direct, but you are not the team. The team is formed by people in these different stages. So you might have someone in this D4 that could help someone in this D3. So your collaborators, your workers, your employees can act also as leaders by helping others which are in other stages, lower levels. So it is not only focusing on the main leader of the organization. Leaders can be also within one of these boxes. We are talking an expert, mid-expert. Okay, so this type of situational leadership can be adopted by you as the organizational leader in the hierarchy if you want. But then there can be other workers or other employees which could or who could help others in other boxes. In that sense, everybody is taking this sense of ownership. They feel the organization as theirs. And according to that, they can make flourish the organization, which is not other thing that making people flourish. And according to that, you might have in front of you a very flexible organization. Because this question of leadership is not attached only to the link of the hierarchy, but a question of commitment to become flexible, to become more performant, to help the others. That's the sense of your work. I'm understanding the sense of my work. Leader and collaborator, and we are in this table talk about different aspects. We are going to be talking about the level of development, the objective, the action plan, the progress check, and the trust. In D1, which is this beginner enthusiast, the objective is set by the leader. The leader defines a plan. In the action plan, the leader develops the action plan. Progress check. The leader implements system to check the progress. And trust. The leader expresses the trust. It's a leader-lead type of approach. You have to direct this beginner. The D2, this disappointed apprentice, the objective. The leader receives the input, defines the goal, and explains why. Talking about the action plan, the leaders receive an input on the action plan and includes good ideas. Progress check, leader receives the input in defining plan to check on progress. And finally, talking about trust, the leader confirms confidence in the employee's abilities. So here we can see already there is a sort of combination between the leader and the input given by the collaborator. Coaching level. In D3, supportive, which is the capable but cautious executor. The objective, leader works with the collaborator to define objectives. About the action plan, leader facilitates the development of an action plan. Progress check, collaborator develops a system to check progress and leader confirms. So you are giving certain agency to the collaborator. And trust, the leader expresses confidence to achieve good performance. In D4, the objective, the leader collaborates. It's not imposing, collaborates, the peer, with and collaborate to define the objectives. The action plan, the collaborator, the expert, develops an action plan and the leader validates. In progress check, the collaborator decides how to keep informed the leader in order not to feel pressed or observed or controlled by the leader. At trust, leader expresses confidence to collaborator to achieve objectives. You can see that from D1 to D4, the level of the presence and intervention of the leader varies and changes. But again, considering what I have said earlier, you can have an autonomous expert who can be a leader for a D3 for the D2, for instance. I mean, think about a systemic organization, not a closed box. A flexible organization, flexible leadership style. So the differences between S2 and S1. So, well, they need more support, involvement in decision making and problem solving, a more explanation of why and clarification instead of just telling what to do, more emphasis on why instead of how and what. The sense. In S2, it is needed to know why. Why are you doing that? Okay. The differences between S3 and S2. The person decides and plans the how. It has greater autonomy because it has more knowledge and competence, although it's more demotivated. The leader listens to make sure the person is clear about what needs to be done. Of course, because if you are demotivated, you are packed with fears and you can be paralyzed. You don't want to take action because you don't want to fail. And you fear criticism. Leader listens to make sure he or she understands the person's approach so that he or she can provide assistance and help if needed. Leader asks questions rather than giving instructions, and the leader works together with the person to solve problems and make decisions. The differences between S4 and S3, the person is able to offer direction and support in turn. There is less operational interaction between the leader and the person. The person is more autonomous in setting the goals, developing action plans, seizing opportunities, and receiving and offering feedback on performance. And leader's focus is less on the day-to-day and more on the future, more on the vision, more on the big picture. So you don't have to do any micromanagement within S4. You have to focus on the longer term, in this big picture. We have seen this cycle of progression, right? This cycle of development was bringing you from D1, D2, D3, D4. That's not linear. we have said yesterday that eventually you can step back. And cycle of regression could happen. So you are not going to start here and progress here and continue here and arrive here. You might be here, you can be a D4, and you will have to experience a new problem, technological thing that you don't understand, and you might step back to S3 or S2 or even to S1 if there is a radical technological change that are putting you, or imagine this is very common, for instance, with women, they get pregnant and they decide for some years to stay at home taking care of the babies. It happens very often. Perhaps they were here when they were in 2010. They decide to go back to work and the labor market has changed, the technology has changed. They say, oh, I'm not here any longer. I might be here or even here or here. So of course the leader will have to, by applying this situational leadership and this flexibility, try to understand the background of these people from where he or she is coming, and according to that readapt and reassess in which position this person is, and according to that try to help him or her. Okay, so all these boxes, I repeat this again because it's very important, all these boxes are not closed, they are all communicating among themselves. There is not a linear progression from D1 to D4, and therefore you as a leader, you have to apply a leadership style from S1 to S4. You have to be readapting constantly, flexibly, the way you diagnose your people and the situation according to the tasks and objectives. So don't believe that an expert is going to always remain in this box of D4. Could be a regression, then you will have to act differently. Flexibility, flexibility, and flexibility of the diagnosis. So the advices to manage regression, these 4 steps are, well, if things get a little bit complicated, support. First of all, use style 3 to explore what is happening, listen more, ask more, what is happening there. If necessary, use style 2 to renegotiate goals and to give direction. Invest time in observing and monitoring performance and giving feedback. If necessary, clarify the consequences of a further decline in performance. Okay? So you will have to adapt, you have to use all these different profiles according to the situation you have in front of you. Use this information, use these instruments of the situational leadership flexibly. So we have arrived to the end of these 2 sessions on situational leadership, and you will find that it's very interesting, can be applied very well to many organizations, can make you grow, can many others make them grow. But there are also pros and cons about this situational leadership. And I want to share with you in this last slide, which are those. Which are the pros of this view, of this framework of situational leadership? It's easy to use. It's easy to use. It's easy to understand the main framework. It's very difficult to apply it flexibly. When a leader has the right style, he or she knows, that can be easy to apply. It is simple. All the leader needs to do is evaluate the situation and apply the correct leadership style. It's intuitive. With the right type of leader, this style is comfortable. And leaders have the permission to change management styles as they see fit. Which are the cons? It's very Western-centric it's a very Western-centric approach. This North American style of leadership does not take into consideration priorities and communication styles of other cultures. It ignores the differences between female and male managers. Situational leaders can divert attention away from long-term strategies and politics. So it is important to know the general aspects of this situational leadership. If you are working in India, if you are working in China, it's not the same. You cannot apply the same situational leadership as you were in a Western country, in the US or in some European countries. Okay? But at least the principle of this flexibility of wanting to listen to others and so on and so forth can also be very useful. Well, thank you very much for your time, and I wait you in lecture number 6. You're going to be changing the topic. Okay, thank you very much for attention, and see you very soon. Thanks a lot.